You're watching Luntha TV, and it's time for our 7:30 news bulletin. My name is Tandi Wemzamara. First, the headlines. Pope Leo XIV urges believers to embrace God's plan in Marian Feast message. Government reaffirms commitment towards ending corruption. European Union Electoral Observation Mission calls for stricter campaign financing rules. And in other news, Tanzania blocks Independence Day protests, calls them coup. We do have the details to these stories and more, to stay with us. Pope Leo XIV marked the traditional Marian Feast of the Immaculate Conception on Monday, urging faithful to imitate the Virgin Mary in embracing God's plan for their lives and to thus collaborate with Him in changing the world. One of a handful of so-called holidays of obligation and the Catholic liturgical calendar in which faithful are required to go to Mass, the Solemnity of the Immaculate Conception commemorates the conception of the Virgin Mary without original sin. We have more details in this Cruise Now report read by Patrick Popper.
In a special festive Angelus address for the December 8th feast, the Pope said God granted Mary extraordinary grace of a completely pure heart in view of an even greater miracle, the coming of Christ the Savior into the world as man. Pope Leo recorded the scripture passage recounting the Annunciation, when the Angelus Gabriel greeted Mary as full of grace and proclaimed that she would give birth to the Messiah. Mary responded with complete faith, saying, "I am the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word." Quoting St. Augustine, the founder of his own Augustinian order, the Pope said that in that moment, Mary believed, and what she believed was fulfilled in her. According to the Pope, Mary's belief in God's word and her trust in His plan of salvation, conveyed with her simple faith, was not just relevant for her, but was a gift for the whole of humanity. He said the miracle of Mary's conception without sin was extended to all believers through the sacrament of baptism, in which the recipients are cleansed from original sin. We have become children of God, His dwelling place, and the temple of His Spirit. After leading faithful in praying the traditional Marian prayer of the Angelus, the Pope entrusted to Mary our constant prayer for the peace throughout the world. Later on Monday afternoon, he laid a wreath of flowers at the foot of the pillar of the Immaculate Conception in Rome's Piazza di España, as is traditional for the Marian feast.
Vice President Dr. Justice Jen Ansah has reaffirmed government's commitment towards combating corruption, describing it as a major obstacle to Malawi's development. Dr. Ansah made the remarks as she presided over the commemoration of the 2025 International Anti-Corruption Day held at Bingu International Convention Center, BICC, in Lilongwe. Dr. Ansah stressed that corruption undermines progress, urging citizens to work closely with the Anti-Corruption Bureau (ACB) in exposing and reporting corrupt practices. She further noted that national growth is impossible when public resources are abused. Emmanuel Shiocha has filed this report.
Dr. Ansah highlighted the importance of youth involvement, saying young people must become active champions in the fight against corruption. She encouraged them to embrace integrity and reject any form of dishonest conduct. Dr. Ansah further assured that government will continue supporting the ACB to ensure it carries its mandate without fear or favor. She has since urged the Acting Director General of ACB to not be intimidated or influenced by political figures or public officers attempting to derail investigation.
This theme also complements the global campaign on the crucial role of young people in combating corruption and building a future of integrity, transparency, and accountability, whose theme is, I quote, uniting with youth against corruption, shaping tomorrow's integrity.
Concurring with the Vice President, SCB Acting Director General Gabriel Chembezi warned that public officials or civil servants engaging in corrupt activities should consider their honeymoon over, stating that the Bureau will decisively pursue all offenders.
The local theme emphasizes that the fight against corruption is not only about protecting resources, but also about safeguarding human dignity. This theme is very relevant today in our country, as violation of human dignity, especially in the delivery of public services, has become a norm rather than an exception.
Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs Charles Mhango commended the SCB for its ongoing efforts in tackling corruption. He encouraged the Bureau to fast-track cases to ensure timely justice and restore public confidence in governance system.
Let me take this opportunity to highlight some of the key reforms that my ministry has been championing in recent years to combat corruption. Number one, operationalization of the Financial Crimes Division of the High Court. The Financial Crimes Division at the High Court of Malawi was established in the year 2022, following the enactment of the Courts Amendment Act number 36 of 2022. The purpose of this division is to expedite and effectively adjudicate cases involving financial and economic crimes.
This year, International Anti-Corruption Day is being commemorated under the theme, Promoting Human Dignity in the Fight Against Corruption. For Luntha News, in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Chiwocha.
The European Union Election Observation Mission has urged Malawi to strengthen its campaign financing laws, warning that weak regulations on political funding pose a major risk to the fairness and integrity of future elections. Deputy Chief Observer Anne Mabo said although the elections were generally well run, the campaign period exposed serious gaps in how money is regulated in politics. She stressed the need for new laws to control how much candidates raise and spend, noting that the influence of unregulated campaign finances remains one of the biggest threats to electoral fairness. The EU Observation Mission team was speaking during a press briefing on the final report of the 16th September 2025 General Elections Recommendations held at Sunbird Capital Hotel in Lilongwe. Gift Kalonga was there and he reports.
Speaking during presentation of the mission's final report, Mabo said the document builds on a preliminary statement released shortly after 16th September elections. She said the final report contains detailed technical findings, including election results, media monitoring outcomes, and a total of 21 recommendations aimed at strengthening the entire electoral process from voter registration to dispute resolution in the courts. Mabo highlighted campaign financing as one of the 6 priority recommendations, noting that although the elections were generally well conducted, the campaign environment showed serious gaps in regulation of money in politics. She stressed the need for new laws to regulate how much candidates can raise and how they use campaign funds. The report also recommends that The government transformed the state-owned MBC into an independent public service broadcaster accountable to the public through Parliament. Additionally, the EU mission has advised the introduction of temporary special measures, such as district-wide constituencies reserved for women, to boost women's political participation.
But the main thing that is new about the report that we're publishing today is that it contains a set of 21 recommendations. Now, these recommendations address all aspects of the electoral process, beginning right at the point of voter registration, going right through to how results are tabulated and how disputes relating to elections are adjudicated before the courts. So it's a very, very broad brushstroke. So we have 21 recommendations, as I said, and they address all of these areas. Now, not all of the recommendations are equal, so we picked 6 recommendations to focus on as our priority recommendations.
Another key recommendation is the adoption of legislative time limits to ensure courts handle election-related cases more swiftly. Mabo said the recommendation reflected the views of Malawian stakeholders the mission engaged since its arrival and aligned with international standards Malawi has committed to through SADC, the EU, and the United Nations. The EU observation mission has since commended Malawi for delivering peaceful, well-managed elections, noting that the country upheld key democratic principles despite some inequalities observed during campaign period. For Luntha News, this is Gift Kalonga.
An economist has urged caution over the government's plan to reduce the policy rate from 26% to 12% by 2028, saying that without strong economic reforms, achieving the target could be risky. Economist Ryan Kabambe said that while the proposed 12% policy rate could stimulate investment, Malawi's current challenges, such as high inflation, fiscal deficits, and limited access to credit, makes the target difficult to achieve in the short term. The economist was commenting on the government's plan to lower the policy rate from 26% to 11% by 2028. Gift Kalonga has filed this report.
Speaking with Luntha TV, economist Kabambe said that the proposed 12% policy rate is ambitious. If the government does not address structural issues such as fiscal imbalances and exchange rate instability, the target may remain out of reach. He added that consistent policy implementation, improved revenue collection, and support for the private sector would be critical in creating an environment conducive to lower interest rates. The government has indicated that reducing the policy rate is part of broader strategy to make borrowing cheaper, encourage investment, and boost economic recovery. However, economists say that achieving a nearly 40 percentage point cut in just 3 years will require careful planning and disciplined economic management.
I think, first of all, we have to look in general at the economic scope of the country. With how things are now, when you look at the 26% policy rate and looking at our inflation, we see that there's a misalignment, whereby this misalignment is giving us such problems as well, because they have to be in sync with each other to the point that they have to continue moving together, because if they don't go align, they will cause a misalignment, which will bring problems with the economy and how people will be able to borrow things, and which will also cause the prices of different goods and services.
Government aims to cut the policy rate from 26% to 12% by 2028 by revitalizing the private sector and lowering national debt. For Luntha News, this is Gift Kalonga.
Water Aid Malawi has expressed concern over the persistent gaps in water, sanitation and hygiene, wash in health facilities, revealing that 24% of Malawi's healthcare facilities still lack access to basic water supply. Head of Advocacy and Communication at Water Aid Malawi, Shandiwira Chisi, told journalists during a media orientation on women's health and wash advocacy that the situation poses serious risks to patients, mothers, newborns, and children seeking care in hospitals. We have more details on this report filed by Charity Shilanga and read in our studios by Jacqueline Saidi.
According to GC, health facilities are meant to be safe spaces where people go to seek life, yet many continue to operate without adequate water and sanitation systems. He said this makes the facilities unsafe, particularly for maternal, newborn, and child health services. GC further stressed the importance of the media in highlighting WASH challenges, noting that journalists play a crucial role in bringing grassroots issues to the attention of government and policymakers. He said the orientation aimed at equipping the media with knowledge on how the absence of proper WASH services negatively affects maternal, newborn, and child health outcomes and how fully functional systems can improve care. GC added that the media should help educate the nation on the need for reliable WASH systems in all health facilities in order to build a movement that demands accountability from duty bearers. According to Chesi, 24% of health facilities either walk long distances to access water or have no water services at all, a situation he described as a huge concern that should not exist in any health facility. He emphasized the need for stronger collaboration among the media, government, and stakeholders to prioritize investment in WASH services.
Yeah, at the moment, 24% of healthcare facilities do not have access to basic water supply. What that means is that in some cases, they have to walk long distances, over 500 meters, to access the safe water, and in some cases, there isn't any service at all. So that combined is about 24% of all healthcare facilities, and that's a huge number. We ought not have even a single healthcare facility that has not compromised access to water sanitation and hygiene. That's the idea.
Water Aid Malawi is a water, sanitation, and hygiene-driven organization working with the government to ensure every Malawian has access to high-quality WASH services.
Remember that you're watching news coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center, and today with me, Tandi Samara. Before we proceed, let's have another look at the headlines. Pope Leo XIV urges believers to embrace God's plan in Marian Feast message. Government reaffirms commitment towards ending corruption. European Union Electoral Observation Mission calls for stricter campaign financing rules. And in other news, Tanzania blocks Independence Day protests, calls them coup. Proceeding with the news, the Malawi Prison Service and the Mozambique Penitentiary Services have joined forces to address the persistent challenge of overcrowding in correction facilities across the two neighboring countries. According to Malawi Prison Service spokesperson Steve Mege, the collaboration comes at a crucial time as both nations face similar pressures within their prison systems, and the partnership aims to create a platform for shared solutions and improved management. Emmanuel Jocha has filed this report.
In an interview, Mege highlighted the importance of dignified treatment for all inmates. He stressed that prison facilities should be places where individuals are received humanly, regardless of their offenses. He added that rehabilitation remains a key priority and the exchange of expertise between the two institutions will contribute for better reintegration programs.
Yes, I can confirm that we had a delegation from the Mozambique Penitentiary Services that came to appreciate how the Malawi Prison Service is implementing some of its programs here in Malawi. So the key issues that we explored included but not limited to tackling common challenges like overcrowding. We looked at this issue to say it's very important that we have safe environments for our inmates by reducing overcrowding.
Commenting on the matter, Executive Director at the Center for Human Rights Education and Advice and Assistance, Claire Victor Mhango, commended the collaboration between the two countries, calling for implementation of the necessary policies to ensure the welfare of prisoners.
Yeah, as Claire, we are welcoming the engagement between two countries, and we are hoping that the collaboration is going to yield positive steps towards addressing the long-standing challenges that are affecting our inmates in both countries. Issues such as overcrowding, access to justice, humane detention, and the treatment of foreign nationals, all these are requiring coordinated efforts. So we urge both governments to turn the discussion that they had into action that can strengthen and safeguard custody and the rehabilitation programs in our prisons.
The partnership will also focus on staff training, infrastructure development, and exploring alternative sentencing options aimed at reducing pressure on existing facilities. Both countries have expressed optimism that this joint effort will lead to a long-term reform and more efficient collection system for Malawi and Mozambique. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Chiwocha.
Now, in other news, authorities in Tanzania have warned people to stay at home on Tuesday, saying that protests planned to mark the country's Independence Day were unlawful and would constitute an attempted coup. Activists and government opponents called for protests after the violent crackdown on demonstrations during October's presidential election. Rights groups say hundreds of people were killed and thousands arrested. We have more details on this African News report read by Patrick Popper.
The police said on Friday that any demonstration would be illegal since that had not received any formal notification from the organizers. In a video posted on X on Monday, Prime Minister Mwigulu Nchemba urged people to stay home without directly referring to the expected protest. Police have confirmed the arrest of at least 10 activists and opposition supporters for online posts connected to the planned protest. Heavy deployments of police and army were visible on Monday along major roads in Dar es Salaam and the northern city of Arusha, witnesses said. The United Nations had called on the government to respect people's rights to non-violent protest and warn against the use of excessive force. The October protests were fueled by the exclusion of leading opposition candidates from the presidential election. Incumbent Samia Suluhu Hassan was declared the winner with nearly 98% of the vote. The government has acknowledged people were killed without providing its own death toll, but it has rejected allegations that police used excessive force. President Samia Suluhu Hassan has appointed a commission to investigate election-related violence, but denied that security forces acted improperly, instead accusing protesters of trying to overthrow the government.
Still on international news, Kenya deployed a new contingent of police officers to Haiti on Monday, bolstering a multinational mission that has been overwhelmed by the country's powerful armed gangs. The reinforcement arrived as Haiti faces a deepening political and security crisis, with gangs controlling large sections of the capital. We have a report by Joseph Kamau from Nairobi, Kenya.
A fifth group of 230 Kenyan police officers arrived in Port au Prince, Haiti on Monday, December 8th to reinforce ongoing security operations under the Gang Suppression Force. Led by Deputy National Security Advisor Joseph Boynet, the officers were received by Haiti's Transitional Presidential Council President Laurent Saint-Cyr.
C'est avec une profonde gratitude que j'accueille aujourd'hui l'arrivée de ce nouveau contingent du GSF, venu appuyer les forces de sécurité nationale dans leurs efforts pour établir la paix et la stabilité dans notre pays. It's with deep gratitude that I welcome you today, the arrival of the GSF contingent that is come to reinforce the national security and their country's efforts and the Kenya's efforts to establish peace and stability in our country.
The deployment comes as 100 officers prepare to return home after completing their 18-month mission. Boynet, delivering Kenya's President William Ruto's message, reaffirmed Kenya's commitment to restoring peace in Haiti. Addressing the delegation moments after the troops' arrival, Boynet conveyed greetings from President William Ruto to the people of Haiti and its leadership. He reiterated President William Ruto's message that Kenya will continue to stand with the Haitian people to ensure that peace and stability are achieved, particularly during the current phase of transition from multinational security support mission to gang suppression forces. Meanwhile, GSF Commander Godfrey Otunge hailed the reinforcement as timely, saying it will strengthen progress made so far. He asserted that the Kenyan contingent will collaborate with the Haitian security forces in eliminating violent gangs. The latest development comes hardly a week after President Ruto expressed his commitment to fully supporting Haiti in ending the rampant gang violence that has crippled the country's progress for years.
Let me also commit that Kenya will continue to be available in Haiti to do what we can to ensure that the experience we have gathered over the last couple of months, running into 2 years now, will be of benefit to the gang suppression force. I did promise that we are not going to walk away from Haiti, and I want to say that Kenya would not have succeeded in Haiti if it were not for the support, the friendship, and the partnership of the United States. We look forward, and I join Secretary Marco in encouraging others from across the globe, especially in this region, the Organization of American States, that this is your neighborhood. If they can step forward with personnel, with resources, with equipment, with funding, we can all contribute to helping humanity in Haiti. And Kenya will play our role. We will make sure that there is a smooth transition, and we will play our roles even after that to make sure that we do not lose the gains that have been made.
Speaking on December 5th in the US during the signing of Rwanda and Democratic Republic of Congo Peace Treaty, Ruto said Kenya remains engaged in Haiti, further thanking Trump's administration for mobilizing resources to support the mission. Joseph Kamau, Luntha TV, Nairobi, Kenya.
And that report also brings us to the end of what we had for you in this edition of our news bulletin. But before we go, here is a reminder of our headlines. Pope Leo XIV urges believers to embrace God's plan in Marian Feast message. Government reaffirms commitment towards ending corruption. European Union Electoral Observation Mission calls for stricter campaign financing rules. And in other news, Tanzania blocks Independence Day protests, calls them coup. My name is Tandy Williams-Mara. Thank you so much for keeping me company, and do continue following the rest of our programs right here on Luntha TV. Do remember that you can catch news and other programs on our social media pages. We are on Facebook at Luntha Television and as well as on YouTube at Luntha TV Official. Continue watching the rest of our programs. Goodbye for now.